How's everybody? Awake? Breakfast? Getting absorbed? Who went to the vendor showcase downstairs? Yeah, I saw some pretty cool things that I hadn't seen before, so I'm really glad. I was like going to those things and seeing what I've not been buying to figure out if I need anything new for my campus. So the point for me being here this morning is I'm going to introduce one of my favorite people in Northwest Met, Anna Thompson. Um, uh, Anna's doing her presentation today on helping students tell their stories in ePortfolios. I know this. You are one of the online learning management system at Boise.
And instructional designer
Instructional designer, yeah.
for face-to-face and hybrid courses.
Yeah, and I know that I always find this topic really interesting because it's not something that I specifically manage in my unit and my university, but it's really great to know because we have to collaborate with those people a lot and make sure our tools are working together. So I really appreciate you offering this session, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'll sneak out the back because I have to check the conference, and then I'll try to sneak back in. Thanks, Anna.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Mark. So good morning, everyone. So I work at Boise State, and the Idea Shop is our department name, and it stands for Instructional Design and Educational Assessment. But it's more cool to say Idea Shop. Okay, so anyway, so Boise State adopted a system or a tool called Digication for our ePortfolios in 2013. It was easy to connect with our single sign-on using Google Apps, and it's pretty easy, simple to use, has a nice interface. We have added our general education university learning outcomes, or ULOs, as well as ULOs for first year writing, some for some engineering certification programs, as well as some for the education program. So in these systems, it's many of them for ePortfolios, students can add video, they can add music, they can add pictures, they can add text, they can add files of different kinds. And we have found that even though it hasn't been that long since we started with this tool, that the usage is growing quite rapidly. Hi, coming in. So in the way of support, we have, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later, we have online documentation, we have technical support via the help desk, pedagogical support through my department. Our aim, our purpose is two-pronged, is providing a stable, easy-to-use, good system for students, for their portfolios, and then also assess student learning in course departments and programs. And that's another big plus of Digication. It has a very strong assessment backend. Okay, so I'm just going to work some key concepts to set up a baseline. You're probably familiar with it, but that way we're talking about the same stuff. So definition of ePortfolios, there are a lot of definitions out there, but an electronic collection of curated items. Could be different multimedia, could be text, could be different kinds, and this medium can be used as a way for people to discuss content, to show things, show learning. It is also used for our students when they go and find a job, apply for an internship, right? Because it's a way for them to demonstrate their skills. Digital literacy and fluency. Although these are two different things, for some reason in some places I've heard them used interchangeably. So usually digital literacy is knowing how to use technology tools, right? And produce something out of it. Versus fluency is where in a given context, a person or individual, a group, can use technology tools and use them well for a desired outcome. Okay. So it's not just about just knowing how to use the tools. And we encounter this a lot with students because they come in, a lot of our traditional students, knowing about how to use phones, how to use Facebook, how to text, all that. But when we talk about them writing in a blog or them submitting assignments, even creating their portfolio, sometimes like, what? It's like, how do I do this? Like, okay, think what you do on Facebook, and try to transpose that same type of knowledge over in this other in this other tool. Another thing that be referring to is the higher order thinking skills, and that's one thing that there has been more and more talk about that. The higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy and the critical, logical, reflective, metacognitive, and creative thinking that comes along with that. That also supports continuous growth. Another part that is reflection cycle is part of higher thinking skills as well. The what, which is the situation being presented, the so what, how it relates to current learning, and the what next, what am I inferring this, what does this really mean, and how does it fit with everything else. Okay. Also about learning being active. We know that learning is active. That's the only way we learn. Usually anything that resembles more real life situations are the ones that are more productive in learning, because students must talk about what they're learning. They need to write about it, relate it to their own life, and apply it in order for them to absorb it, having become part of them. Okay, and I love this quote where it says, "Learning is not an spectator sport." So why did we select ePortfolios? I mean, there are a lot of ways, a lot of things that we have been doing, but why did we go this route? Well, there's a lot of research out there. There are institutions like Rio Salado, San Francisco State University, to name a couple, and a lot of organizations like Merlot that have put out a bunch of research on that states that when ePortfolios are implemented well in a curriculum, student success increases, student retention increases, right? Here's an example from San Francisco State. And it's just, the data is there, it's visible, it's happening. So it becomes a challenge not only finding the tool, but implementing it well. Because it's all about, we want our students to be successful. Okay? So the technology expectations that were published in the Chronicle in 2014, they have a lot of different things, how learning needs to be more connected, personalized and competency-based learning was going to be more prevalent, more emphasis on pedagogy and design versus the technology itself, and analytics, which the analytics part, whether that is institutional, the tracking students, how many students they're retaining, how many students are registering, what they're taking, or whether that is, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Participatory, where they track the data, whether students participating in online discussions, whether they're participating in class, or the type of analytics that lets an instructor know something is not clicking in with the students, with the content. What are some areas that need work, things like that. So because of that emphasis on analytics, anything that we do, we should be able to collect data on it to see if really our students are learning what we think they're learning. Okay? According to the Horizon report, the most recent one, some of the trends mentioned, there's a growing focus on measuring learning, and that's where assessment comes in again. Okay? And blending formal and informal learning, something that ePortfolios can do really, really well. For example, it's an excellent way for a student to demonstrate leadership skills that they got not from a class, but maybe from a service learning experience, or from serving in a student club, right? And also there's always the challenge of improving digital fluency, and we're having a conversation about that last night, how that's always a challenge on campuses, okay? So, Digication. So here's basically the process that we have set up. So students can, they can import, upload, or embed different types of items. They can upload any type of Word documents, PDFs. They can embed Google Docs, any of them. Also, they can embed PDFs, video, audio, etc. And students and faculty can create either individual or group ePortfolios. And the faculty also create assignments. When students submit assignments, they can submit, could be just a page on any portfolio. They can submit a whole ePortfolio, or they can just submit an artifact. And when that happens and it gets sent for for accreditation, program review, etc., it creates permanent snapshots that are then taken on and can be reviewed later by committees that are evaluating program efficacy. And even though students still have access to their portfolios, once they submitted all of it or part of it, and they change it, that doesn't matter with it, doesn't make any difference with the snapshot that was submitted, because that doesn't change. Because that snapshot of that was submitted at that point in time stays the same, no matter what they do later. And another thing that it does is, it supports the continuous improvement of students, because they might have started with a couple. And by the way, in this system, how we have it set up, students can create as many portfolios as they want. We have not set a limit. And so a lot of them, they start with it could be a university foundations course, or it could be first year writing, for example, and they create their first portfolio, and then, and then they start working, and then they create another one, and they grab pieces from this one, and they create another one and pieces from that one, and pretty soon they have a professional one that that they use to show off at a job fair, for example. So it works really, really well. Okay, so another thing that that Digication supports is, it's a little shadow. There you go. The Digication supports is our general educational learning outcomes, which in turn, always remind us that we want to be more learner-centered, because that is how students will best learn. When students leave Boise State, they can take the ePortfolios with them. If they graduate from Boise State, they have continuous access to their email and the ePortfolio system online. If they transfer to another institution, they can download, and it downloads as a mini website with all of the files and folders, structure and everything. So they don't lose anything. So it's wonderful for them. It's a great opportunity for them to save their work. And as we go through this process, our main emphasis with the students is that we want to not only tell the story of our institution and be able to grab the data that tells us how students are really doing, but also helping the students tell their story, their whole story. Okay, so I'm going to show you some snapshots of the Digication interface, and then I'm going to switch to the live Digication interface so we can navigate a little bit. So there are a couple of ways of logging in. We can log in by going to the Google Tools, and it shows up as the group of Google Tools in Google Tools for Education. And if a student is logged in, goes in that way, they're already logged into Digication when it opens up. The second way is by going to our instance directly, boisestate.digication.com, selecting login as a student, and then entering their credentials. So a couple different ways, which is helpful because if they're working from a tablet, an Android tablet, an iPad, right, something like that, the only way for them to get in is by going to the Digication website. And then they can do whatever they want from that point on. Okay, so usually the home page shows some menus at the top and a list of the portfolios they've created. Below that, there's a list of courses, and those courses get created each semester. We extract the data from our PeopleSoft student information system, and then all of the students and the faculty get enrolled in the courses automatically. So once they click on their course and they go inside, students see something similar to this. This is the more of the faculty view. The student view is very similar, just they don't have as many options. For example, they don't see the standards, they don't see the settings tab, but otherwise it looks pretty much the same. Okay. So we'll just go through the different areas of the course. By the way, any comments or questions so far? Yes.
Do people also use this for, do staff, if a staff is managing people, do they ever use this to
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, Student Affairs is beginning to use this for assessment of their own department, and they're having their staff create portfolios and tracking over time that track progress in projects, and also connected to their own goals as a department, and as they link as an institute with the institution too.
Cool.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So that was pretty exciting news of it too that I hadn't mentioned yet. So thanks for asking. So the assignments tab just basically shows the assignments listed in here, and before students submit, there's a little blue S next to each assignment. Once they submit it, that little square changes to an orange F, waiting for faculty. Then there are a few more options. If the faculty linked it to a standard, and the standard has a rubric, an assessment rubric, not a grading rubric, right? Then after they're done doing that and selecting, it changes to complete. And if they have used a grading rubric, it could be a pass or non-pass at the very end. And another cool thing is that a faculty member can also add self-assessment rubrics, peer assessment rubrics, reflection rubrics. So they can make it as simple or as complicated in the sense of they can create a whole process of submission and reflection and assessment that students can do themselves as part of this. So the next tab is the standards, and as standards are added, they have to be added on the back end, so they are available to be added to the course. And oh, I escaped. Sorry. Oh, getting back. Sorry about that. Okay, clicker crazy here. Okay, so almost there. Okay, so standards. Here we go. As the standards are added, they show up in here, and then as the assessment is done, then this changes whether standards were met or not met. Okay, for the specific students, and they all will be listed on the left-hand side here. So also another cool thing is that discussions can be added. So you can have a social pedagogy applications in this as well. I mean, not only the research, a lot of this research shows that when students have work that is viewed by others, by their peers, they tend to work a little harder, and they tend to do better, and they learn more from it. And this is the discussions in here allow some of those threaded discussions to go on within the same environment. Okay, so the portfolios tab just shows all the portfolios that are linked to the course. And to link any portfolio to a course, that can happen in two different ways. One is that the instructor creates an ePortfolio template. And a lot of times, they've used it in different ways. A lot of times, the instructors fill the ePortfolio template with instructions. Here's where you're going to post this. Here's where you're going to post that. And this relates to this assignment that's in Blackboard, etc., right? And so that's one way. But some instructors want to allow the freedom for students who have created another portfolio, maybe for another class, that is not linked, to use that for the class. And in which case, student, all what they need to do is go into the settings and share the portfolio with the class, and automatically makes it viewable by the students in the class and the faculty member. Okay, so the people, it just lists all of the faculty and students that are in this class. The settings is the course settings that only the faculty member sees. This is also where the faculty member goes and let's say they taught last semester and they had a course in Digication and they created assignments and standards. They can just copy that over. They don't have to recreate it. You know, kind of like the backup and restore, you know, in the LMS, in that sense. They can just bring as much or as little as they want and then tweak it again. Questions so far? Comments? You're a lively crowd. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a little more lively after a little bit of coffee too. So anyway, so this view right here is administration view that people that are administrators in the system can access, not the faculty. In here, we're able to like add ourselves to courses if we need to go in and help a faculty member and walk them through the process of creating a template, bringing content from before, create brand new assignments, doing standards, etc., to the course. We can also have a view of all the portfolios, and we can easily find them in here, see statistics in the system, etc. Okay. this is the menu that's actually for the reporting, the assessment reporting. Reports can be they come out in 3 different formats. There's an HTML for Excel. There is an interactive that is just HTML basically, and there is a comma delimited report. And the reports usually have you can select, like this class, I want to sample this many students from this class, or perhaps I want a sample of students in this program, right? For assignment X, or for standard X, or for assignments and standards. So there are a lot of different variations of this reporting that can be used as a faculty internal tool, can be used as an assessment committee institution-wide, or there's also the option for Digication to create a committee's website, and this right now it takes a couple months for some reason to set up. So, but Digication has an interface just for committee members to go and assess a group of courses or assignments for a specific course, however it's going to be assessed, to do an institutional level and beyond. So it could be multi-institutional if there were several institutions that were using, and you had people from different institutions participating in this assessment process. Okay? So we spotlight a lot of the portfolio students have created. They've done amazing things. So here's some examples. This is the Triple E project. It's an engineering group project. It's so cool, and it's just, and you can have all kinds of tabs and all kinds of pages within each one of those, right? And students have full control on customizing. They can customize the colors, the feel, the background. Okay? Aside from the themes, there's some built-in themes, but they can do a lot of things with it. Here's one from the English department. We have some really creative students. Here's from the biology department.
Wow.
From biology project. Yeah, I got it in some of the show and tell on our portfolio system we had on campus. Had a few people that have arachnophobia. They go, ah!
Yeah.
They freak out in the middle of it. It's like, sorry. So sometimes I ask, okay, anybody want to see the whole spider one? And sometimes I go, oh yeah, sure. People go, no, we can pass that one. It's just on the screen. It's not for real. Okay. So anyway, so now I'm tell a little bit about the support plan we have established for a portfolio. So the idea shop my department, so we provide pedagogical training and support. We have a team of 2 within our designers that are specifically in charge of the training and support. Training the help desk, work studies with the help desk personnel so they can in turn support with technical difficulties, and also to provide training groups for faculty or for departments, So we have that. The help desk provides the technical support, as I mentioned. Then LTS is Learning Technology Solutions. They are a newly formed group. Who attended the LEAF and then Daniel presentation yesterday? Any of you did? No? Well, they used to work with us under academic technologies, and then they went under IT, and we stayed under the CTL. And but because they are in charge of university-wide platforms, this is one of them. So it falls on them to be responsible for the backend admin support, which means, for example, if we need to submit more outcomes, which are called standards in Digication, for them to upload for us, or maybe there's an issue with the system and it needs to be fixed, so they submit a ticket directly to Digication, and that type of thing. We also have a support site for self-serve materials, and it has instructions anywhere for how to create a portfolio, how to submit an assignment, you want to play with cascading style sheets to really customize your portfolio, right? Or how to create a QR code as an easy way to share your portfolio link, let's say at a job fair or something like that. And we have video, we have text content, we have images for that. So currently, the ones that are well into it, using the portfolio is the first year experience courses. And that is first year writing, English 101 and 102. University foundation courses, 100 and 200 for freshman and sophomore students. 300 level is for transfer students, and those are required courses for all of our students. Okay, kinesiology is using it for their program as well, and then we saw an example of the engineering. They're using it right now only for group projects. We're talking to the multidisciplinary studies program because there is a way to create a community as well, not just the courses, but a community, and that is a way to where a program could track a student over time while they were in their program from beginning to end. So that's what they were looking at. Other courses and programs are testing it here and there. And currently, if a course requires a portfolio for as part of the curriculum and is on the catalog, there is a course fee associated with it, and that's how we pay for the licensing. But if an instructor wants to test it out and start including it for the first couple semesters or whatever, they don't have to charge the course fee to their students. They can just use it and develop, and when they are sure of it, it's like, okay, let's put it in the catalog now and make it part of it. So we give them the chance to try it out. We also are continuously researching tools. It's not like we're going to have Digication forever, because new things come out, better things come out, and we don't want to be locked into something forever. So we're always researching that, as well as best practices as they come out. What is the best way to implement an ePortfolio for a specific curriculum? How will the students best benefit? How would the university best benefit from the data that we're getting? And what's the best way? What are the best data points to get out of it? That type of thing. So now I'm going to switch real quick to the live interface. Are you guys interested, or were the snapshots okay?
Live interface would be great.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, I wanted to ask. So, okay. Okay, so I'm logged in here, and this is the view. I'm an administrator in the system, which is very similar to the faculty. So let me go to the home page here. And as I showed, this is the home page that you see. The first part of it is the portfolio group. Then courses. So any courses in which the faculty takes part of or the student is enrolled. And at the very bottom is the communities and assessment groups. Okay? Students don't see the assessment groups. Faculty see the assessment groups only if they're part of one. But the communities are always visible. Okay? Okay, so you can click in any of the ePortfolios. These are the portfolios on this list are the ones in which you're part of. Could be your own, or maybe you're in a group, so you are in that ePortfolio as well. Okay, so you can customize. I customize in this one the background and the banner image. Let me go to the publish view so it looks a little better. So here are the different tabs I have. So it's like work experience, successes. One thing that I didn't mention, we're having faculty, some faculty, and so I think it's probably under 20 right now, but the word's getting around. They're using this as a professional portfolio that they're using for their tenure, uploading their own artifacts. So that's another exciting use that we're having at the university.
Are they using that to get tenure?
They're using that as part of the documentation for tenure.
Okay.
Our system keeps on going through changes, but it's still there's still a basic system and a basic binder, so to speak, physical binder that needs to be filled. But it's migrating more to the electronic format. So this is part of it. Digital measure system that we use is another one that it tracks all of the training that faculty participate in, all the hours and what type of training. Let me show you in here. This is an example of embedding a PDF. Okay, and it's similar, for Google Docs, presentations, a video from YouTube, anything like that, you can easily embed on the page. I'll show you some pictures. There are these galleries that you can add, and it's just It's a module. There are all kinds of modules that you can, we even have now, it's fairly new, an equation module to write equations. And it uses some really nice, easy to use latex in there, but it's in a WYSIWYG. And so with this, we have a lot of art students and then students working on projects too, so where they document different parts of their project and how it's going. And all they do is click on the picture to see the next one and so forth. It's my husband. That's my daughter. Anyway, so just to give you a little view inside any portfolio. So let me go into a course and go back home here. And stop me. If you have a question, you want to see something a little deeper, let me know. Yes?
So what you were just showing, you would send that link out to Erlen? Can I host you?
Yeah.
So you would send that link out to a potential employer or whatever, and and then they would be able to look at your your bio, basically. Do you have, as an administrator, any kind of control over what the students are sending out? For example, in our nursing department, the students have to pass off certain requirements, and they could go Photoshop a document, giving them all check marks over on the outstanding whatever side, and then they could just make that visible there for whatever potential employers. But as an administrator, I wouldn't even know what was being shown to the outside world. Do you have any, as an administrator, do you have control to see what is being shared outside, or is that basically up to the students to put up what they want, and regardless of your ability to see or police any of that kind of stuff?
We have the ability to see as administrators. There's not a policing system in there. So it is up to the students to share with whomever they want. So they can make it public, which is, out in Google, they can be found. And that's what they usually want to share with an external entity. So far, we haven't had any situations where there was a false documentation, anything like that they were claiming. So perhaps because we haven't run into it, we haven't thought about a possible solution how to deal with that yet.
One other question.
Yes.
While I've got the box. Do your students, when they create their page, does it have Boise State's branding on it so that people who come and look at it are saying this is endorsed by the university, or because it's got your logo on it?
It's one of the themes, but students can customize this however they want. Especially if they're creating a professional one, they can make it look however they want. You saw like the spider one, for example. Unless they mention Boise State, it really doesn't show there, aside from the name being on the link.
Okay.
Kind of to tag onto his question, so if a student's creating a professional portfolio, do you guys have consultants, or do you have any counseling to help them present it in a fashion that, because anybody can create content and anybody can create content on YouTube and do and stuff like that, but to make it in a presentable way that would entice a potential employer?
So yes, we have done so far, and we're trying to create we're working on a more scalable model, because as our usage is growing, it's difficult to continue doing what we have been doing, but we have been doing classroom visits. We go in, we go in and we talk to the students like, okay, this is why portfolios are important. We talk about branding. We talk about the things they can do in any portfolio, the different uses, and even some of the benefits, like, hey, you guys, you can see you wrote this first semester, and you look at it now, 4 semesters later, 5 semesters later, and look at it and see how much you have improved, how much you've changed, and even maybe just get scared, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to claim that anymore. So we talk about that. We talk about, we've done classroom visits when we talk about the grouping portfolios, and we share a little bit about best practices on design. When you're designing a web page, what are and we have a discussion, right? It's like, hey, have you guys been to a website that was horrible? It's like, what are some of the things you don't want to do? And then we say, okay, here are some of the things that you can do to make it really good. some best practices, look and feel, content.
Yeah, that would seem important because this is just a whole new level of presentation, putting yourself out there in the world, and this is just
Yes.
a new
Yes.
phase of that. So that would be a whole nother skill set that would be needed.
Yes. Another thing that we have been doing along with like the course visit, regular course visit, is that we walk them through the creation of their first ePortfolio. And more we go there and so we ask, okay, who here has created an ePortfolio in Digication? And maybe we're in a first year writing class and they are taking one of the university foundations or they already taken it, right? So we're experienced. So then we talk to the instructors like, hey, draw from those people to help their peers because they already have created one. And so, but we walk them through it, and then we walk through the settings and what it means, you know, like when they're sharing and making it public, what does that mean, okay? Who can see that? Things like, for example, when they create, they add a module, and they put text, images, and stuff, and they save it, that stays in draft mode. They are the only ones that can see that. Unless they hit publish all changes, that stays in draft, no one else can see it. So we tell them that because you may want to keep something in draft mode because you're not ready for someone to see it. Then again, if you're submitting an assignment, you better make sure it's published because your instructor will not be able to see it or grade it for you. So these are some of the things we're doing, and we're going more towards the materials and the training we give faculty. It includes a lot of those best practices, ideas. This is what you can tell your students. This is what you know, share these materials with your class so they have this. So there are not a few of us trying to hit every single classroom, but we have been doing a lot of that, trying to, you know, help them think about what they're doing and produce a high quality, you know, ePortfolio and what that means. Okay, any other questions right now, or just keep moving? Okay, so so I'm gonna go down into courses here. I'm gonna go into this desk course. Okay, so one of the things that you see here is that assignments, as students submit assignments, they and when assignments are created and made available to students, it shows up in here in this feed. Okay, also this little checkbox right here for faculty, if they check it and if students check it because they have the same option, it sends them email updates. And when something is available, something was graded, something was submitted. Some instructors forget about it and they go, I keep getting all these emails from Digication about step 1 being available. It's like, what? It's like, well, that's what that is, remember? So that's what that is on here, the basics of that. You can see assignments list from here, the discussion list, the assignments. Usually the assignment creation is very simple. You just click add an assignment. And okay, and then give it a name, and then content. So I'm just gonna type some gibberish there. Okay, and save. And this is only a first step. It's a multi-step process. So we've created a container for where the assignment is going to be, right? So second step, you add a step. Okay, and in these steps, let me show you on the left right here. So the next step, I'm going to ask the evidence, and that's going to be what students are actually submitting. Some instructors give the same name of the assignment, the same description when they add the evidence, and put it the same stuff, they copy paste pretty much. Some instructors, they introduce the assignment here, and when they go to the evidence, it's the actual instructions. So it depends how they want to handle it. What the course they're teaching, they know their students better. So here's also, as you add different steps, that's where they can add a teacher rubric, that's a grading rubric, a self-rubric. Here's a reflection, teacher reflection or self-reflection, as well as standards, which are the outcomes that we've added. So I'm just going to click on evidence, add this step, okay? And it asks again, and the default name is my evidence, and you can put the assignment name, copy paste like I mentioned, okay? And then there are some settings over here, whether they want this available after the previous step is completed. This is helpful if you're having a whole process and there's a reflection built into it. That you don't want something to show up before, it makes logical sense. and then on or after or immediately. Also, you can set a deadline. So after a certain date time, students cannot submit anymore. Okay. Also, if this little box at the bottom, after step is complete, should changes be allowed. This makes it so students can make changes as long as the assignment has not been graded yet. Similar to the LMS behavior. Okay. But every student has the chance to delete the file or delete the submission. When they first submit, there's a little success. You submitted it successfully screen. There's an option to back out. It's like, oops, undo, basically. But after that, they close that. If this box is not checked, they cannot make any more changes. Okay, so I'm going to just save this one just to show you real quick. And so my evidence step is there. And usually the next step, unless instructors want to do more, is to add the standards. Again, the standards have to be added to the course first, so they are available to link to the assignment. Okay, so I'm going to click add this step. And then here are some similar options as we had with the assignment, except for in here, we also have this step assesses, and you have to select the evidence, right? Whatever you happen to call it, my evidence or the name of the assignment, so select that. And then click, and then once you select it, right below that, this step applies to, and then you select as many of the standards that are in the class as you want to be linked with a specific submission. And as you select them, you get a little check mark. Okay? And then this step applies. And in the standards, some instructors put it right on there. This satisfies this university learning outcome or this engineering learning outcome, right? They can explain it right here in the name and the description. And then click Save. Okay, and this is the most basic level of the assignments with the standards when they created. So then when we look at it, I'm going to just click up here on assignments. Then we have the new one listed that I just created is the last one, because he puts it in here in order of creation. Okay, and then I go back. This is the same view to edit. You can always go back and edit it. Okay, so when a student submits, this is a completed one, but when a student submits and it changes to orange with the F, waiting for faculty, the faculty member can open it up, and then they can download. If it's a file that was submitted, they can download the file. If it's an ePortfolio evidence, whether it's one page or the whole ePortfolio, the link's right there to access, as well as the rubrics here for the assessment part of it. And that opens up into the rubric. And this one is already completed, but this is what it looks like. It's very simple, very quick process. Okay, and then up above here, it's hard to see, but up above here, there are the levels, from unsatisfactory work 1 to exemplary work number 4. And then they give the value. Questions, comments? Anything else you would like to see? Yes. Oh, pass the box.
So let's say a student is just about to graduate and is now creating kind of what they want to present to potential employers. And they have, say, 3 different versions. And so this one pulls these artifacts. This one only pulls those artifacts, and this one pulls all of them. And one to show mom what I've done has, all these other ones in it or whatever. So then does the system generate a separate URL for each of those, and then the student can send this URL to that employer, which will show only those 5 things, and this URL to the ones that shows all of them and so forth? How does that work?
They end up creating a separate portfolio for each one. And any portfolio is also a repository, so they can grab from any portfolio and then put it into any ePortfolio.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So how long do these ePortfolios live? Are they hosted on your server indefinitely, or do they get transferred to the student at some point, or what?
Yeah, that's an everlasting question here. So because it's still fairly new, there's no limit right now. So right now, they're there forever. But with anything, storage is not unlimited. So I am sure that's going to be addressed soon because we already have thousands of ePortfolios. Although it's not being stored in our server, it's being hosted by Digication. It's on their servers. And the licensing model works with the number of students, number of ePortfolios that are created. And I'm sure that if we hit a limit, we're going to go, it's like, okay, do we want to pay more money or just, put a limit on ePortfolios on, how many or perhaps how long they're hosted after, like you would do with lectures or any other, materials at the university.
Well, and along that same line then, so let's say you wanted to give the whole thing to the student, is it like exportable like a PDF so that they can host it on their own Google something or something?
Yeah, so let me show you inside this ePortfolio. Here are the settings, but here is download option. And this allows you to export it, and it exports it in a folder as a mini website
Got it.
with all of the links, all of the files, all of the artifacts that are within this ePortfolio. So you can easily grab that and then put it in host it yourself, pick and choose, because individual items will be listed there.
Did you have, what's the size limit to the creation of one of these ePortfolios? Like, let's say you had a filmmaking student or something that had
Okay.
lots of gigabytes of content.
Okay. Right now, there's no limit on the overall size of the portfolio when you add up the artifacts, but upload limit is 20 megs. So that's when we've got into the discussions with students. Okay, if you guys are uploading a PowerPoint, because that's what you are doing, right? It has lots of nice images. If it's over 20 megs, right, it's going to fail. So then we talk about, okay, how about hosting it like in SlideShare instead, or Prezi, right? Or, or think about, okay, do you really need to have high quality images? Okay, get them to think about what their end result is and then what's the best way to get there. The other thing that happens a lot is with video. It's like, and we always say, hey, do you know you have a YouTube channel? You could easily embed a video from YouTube, right? And then you don't have to worry about that. Right. And because of it's Google Apps for Education, I don't think it's absolutely unlimited space, but we have tons of storage in those accounts. So.
Well, okay. So one of the challenges that we have is faculty or students find something on YouTube that's interesting, they post it, and then whoever owns that footage, if they own it legally, either deletes it or it gets caught for copyright violations or something, and then it just disappears. So in the ePortfolio in the future, it would just show a broken link or something? Okay.
Yes, unless it gets submitted. If it gets submitted as an assignment, the system will take a snapshot of how it was at that time and then save it as such.
A still frame, not the whole video.
Yes, if it has to pull from another system, yeah,
Okay.
that will be the case. So it will be a chance of getting a broken link. You're absolutely right.
All right.
But
So
it will do a still,
Yeah.
of what it was.
okay.
Yeah.
So then, the argument would be if somebody was making a video that they posted to YouTube and they were a filmmaking student and they needed that and it was on YouTube and the link broke, they would need to be able to store the video in potentially.
Yes, and because of that challenge, a lot of times when instructors have the students submit any portfolio, they have a separate assignment or within the same where they upload the actual file as long as it's under 20 megs, and they submit it so the artifact itself gets saved.
The still frame from the artifact.
No.
The whole
If
thing.
they upload, as long as it's under 20 megs, if they submit the video file, MP4, whatever happened to be, or audio file,
Gotcha.
because it's not hosted elsewhere, like submitting a document.
Can I take a picture?
Yeah, sure. and I think time is up. I have uploaded a version of this presentation to SlideShare. So if I have some cards here, if you would like the link, just send me an email, and then I'll send it to you.